my Mac didn't have the camera button. I don't know what's going on with that.
That's all right. That's all right. How you doing?
Doing great. How's it going? I can't see you guys though.
You can't see us?
Uh-uh. Take off, man. How's it going?
At what age did you start fighting?
Uh, I was when I took my first organized boxing match. It was USA Boxing. It's actually yes, it was USA Boxing. It was Junior Olympics when I was 14.
14. So, what
Yes, sir.
age did you start training?
I mean, like I when I was boxing, I was training. That's when I started, training for the art. I won a state championship when I was 15. My first year boxing, and then took second in regionals. Was voted most promising boxer in the state by the I mean, not the governor. The it was a governor's award, but the like the coaches all voted on it from all the coaches in the state, and I got voted the most promising boxer, which at the time I thought was kind of like. So my cousin and myself were the same age and very competitive, and he had won state the year before, and so I decided I wanted to start boxing because fuck him, that's why. And you
Valid.
know I love my cousin, but we're very competitive. So anyway, long story short, the coaches got together. They voted me most promising boxer. I, at the time, was like, I think that's a lame ass. I don't even know what that is. And my cousin had got like the best boxer of the year award, and I could beat him when we sparred. So I was like, what kind of shit is this? As I got older, I come to understand what that word and award really meant. That that was actually probably the best award you can get, like the most promising boxer, meaning that you show the most promise out of anybody in the state. So it took growing up to understand that.
That's that's sweet. We don't really have anywhere that we can actually box out here besides Sam's backyard.
Yeah, there was a guy that did it years ago. He ran a fireworks stand. He was an Irish dude, man. His name was Mac McBride. Um, Man, it was awesome, man. Like it kept like all of us out of trouble. We would go on weekend boxing trips, and I mean, like, man, go back to being 14, and then jump in an RV with a bunch of other 14-year-olds, and then go to another town and box other 14-year-olds. It is a fucking blast, dude. Like it was like at the time of my life. I'll never forget it.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. That's about what we were doing before we got shut down. But that's kind of exactly how it went. Just going over to neighboring towns, or people from other towns would come here.
so were you guys like just doing the backyard brawls or something? I mean, you said you couldn't find boxing there. What do you? I guess I must.
Well,
Go ahead.
go ahead and answer this one. Yeah, we didn't do like MMA or kickboxing or anything like that. Just normal boxing. But I mean, it's
Unofficial.
not it's not official. Yeah,
Yeah.
we
So
just bought some stuff.
unregulated by the athletic commission. The athletic commission didn't administer your fights,
Nope, it was just us.
bro. Hey, like I've got 25 unsanctioned fights. Uh, because like so back in the early 2000s when MMA came into the picture, it was literally like the UFC that you'd fight till you lose. Dude, I fought 4 times in one night. I also fought in a tag team MMA match, man. I mean, bro, this was some backwoods shit. So, I mean, if you love to fight, you love to fight, man. You know what I mean? Like it's yeah, man. I just especially coming to the end of my career. I keep saying I'm retiring, but like, yeah, I just love the whole process of fighting. So it's hard for me to. Yeah, I've said I've officially retired twice, but at my last fight, I did not officially retire anymore because I'm like, dude, a couple of months goes by and I'm like starting to get the itch
Hmm.
and I'm still in the gym banging with 20-year-olds. So, um, so anyway, so yeah, so like I understand that, man. If you like the intensity and the combat, like it was more about an adrenaline thing for me when I was in my 20s and I did it, where you just sign up and you fight that day. and like the promoter was the ref. They had an actual cage, but like yeah, like you fight till you lose. They didn't have no weight classes. Like dudes coming out of the crowd, dude smelling like beer. Um, yeah, all that, bro. All that. That's where I came from. Boxing was my original start at 14 years old, and that was sanctioned by the USA Boxing Commission.
Sweet. That's awesome. Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's where I got my love of the sport of just fighting in general because I kickbox, bare knuckle, whatever. I'll fight you.
So I know you had a fight in BKFC. How is that sport different than normal boxing?
Oh
Like, how does it feel?
man, it was a freaking blast. So I'm actually certified. So first off, I had originally when BKFC kind of started coming onto the scene. It's only been 5 or 6 years ago. I was still I think I'm on a 4 or 5 fight win streak in MMA. I mentioned it to my coach that like I was like, man, what's this? I mean, I wouldn't mind maybe doing that. And I did, but I didn't really think about it. And he was like, bro, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard you say. He's like, man, like, what are you going to go in there and bare knuckle fight someone? Like, it's just retarded, man. He's like, that's like going to a bar fight. And I'm like, well, I mean, I've done a lot of those, dude. And those are pretty fun. I don't have so much fun with them, anymore since I get to fight at a high level. But like so the BKFC sport, man, like I want to say right away that I went in there cocky as fuck, like because I'm a striker. I'm like, dude, I'm a street fighter at heart, and I'm a fucking brawler. And this is, I'm coming in here, and it's only half a fight. It's just your upper body, and it's like, your 2 minute rounds. That's some pussy shit. I don't even have to train for this. Man, I was so goddamn tired in the second round. I mean, man, I just fought 15 minutes MMA 2 weeks ago. Like I fought 3 fucking rounds, dude. I was so fucking tired. Like I collapsed because I had the dude ready to quit. So I was like, man, I gotta finish this guy quick, man, because I am absolutely having an adrenaline dump. Plus, like, man, it was a different sport. I underestimated it. I didn't train as hard as I should because I thought, these hands are good to go. Like I got stamina. Da 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 da. Went in there and looked foolish because I got tired. Still won the fight, but gained a new respect for the sport and then just the entertainment value. So, I mean, I'm just not a big fan of it. So I do like watching guys grapple, get in there, they strike to grapple, take down and that.
Yeah.
You know what? Now, I'm not even going to fucking lie, dude. That's some the hoe ass shit. Like, bro, get your face out of his crotch and get up and fucking bang, dude. I'm there to watch freaking people get knocked the fuck out. And then like if you take somebody down, man, I ain't trying to watch you ride his back, dude, and all that shit, man. Like, beat the fuck out of this dude and move on with your day. Like, if you're not doing serious violence, man, you're just, in my opinion, you're not gonna. You may be good, and that may win you a lot of professional fights, but it doesn't entertain. This shit at BKFC, man, was nonstop action, bro. Like, I mean, this shit was like there was knockdowns almost every round.
Yeah.
It was like.
Yeah.
And then dudes are getting back up, and I was one of them. Like I got knocked down in the first 3 seconds of the fight. I was like, dude, I just scored the fastest knockout in the history of mankind, never to be broken. Yeah, I got up, fortunately, and whomped that ass. But I was like, holy shit! The canvas. I hit my face on the canvas. That's what woke me up. I was like, oh shit, flash KO'd. I just got knocked down. Get up quick. Yeah, so that was pretty. The sport's awesome. Like I can't wait to do it again. I'm set for June 20th. On a local show. Yeah, BKFC was coming back to Kansas City in April. They were supposed to come back in April 19th. They had, from what I was told, they had booked Memorial Hall. They had been penciled into Memorial Hall. They didn't get some of the stuff done that they were supposed to get done, and Memorial Hall gave away the date. So they went to Omaha instead. So they took a bunch of guys from Kansas City down there. But at my age, man, I'm really not interested in fighting on the big stages unless it's at home.
Yeah, I get that.
I mean, I like going down and banging, but like if I go to here's the deal. Like I sold in Kansas City when they came in August. I sold, I better not say it out loud. Like I sold a fuck ton of tickets. I had sold. I'm definitely the best ticket seller in Kansas City right now, and like, dude, the arena was packed. It only holds like 5,000 people, and it was sold out. And I would say three-quarter of them were my ticket buyers. I mean, it was it wasn't that much, but it was a big, significant number. The nearest fighter closest to me selling tickets, I beat him by like like 2/3, like more than half. Anyway, it was cool, and they were coming back, and they wanted me on the show, and I was excited. And then Memorial Hall pissed them off, so they went to Omaha. And if I go down there to fight somebody, it's not going to be. It's not that I want to fight any. I don't want to fight turds. I want to fight guys that are just like me, getting a little bit older towards the end of their career, but are mean as fuck, dude. And let's get in there, let's entertain, let's have a good time. If I go down to Omaha, I'm probably going to get a young guy. You know what I mean? I'll go in there. I mean, and then I can fucking knock anybody out. I got power, but it's just, what, do I want to do that? You know what I mean? I'd rather just sit at home and take my last few professional fights in the comfort of my own home and in front of my, family and people I care about in the city and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that's understandable.
Yeah. So what's, tell me about you guys, man. Like I just caught you a little bit after you asked me to be on a podcast, man. You guys just start this thing up, man, or am I like behind on this? You guys,
Well,
but tell me about this podcast, man. I didn't have time to really dig into it.
this is our first episode.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's go.
Brand new.
So I've
we
been podcasting for a
we
while.
wanted to interview you specifically because we came out and watched your fight at FAC, your last
Oh,
one.
with Wayman. Yeah, Wayman Carter. Yeah, no, I broke his jaw in
Yeah.
2 places. Yep.
Yeah,
He fucking
we were
chunked
sitting
me.
down there by the octagon, and he came over and was talking to the doctors.
Yeah, no, he had to get surgery 2 days afterwards. His jaw's still wired shut. I mean, I feel terrible for him, man. Like, I mean, like it's nothing personal, you know what I mean? Like, and I've known that dude. Me and him came up together, you know what I mean? Like, we've trained together. Like, it was kind of a deal where we both are friends to the promotion FAC. Joe Wooster, it was like, hey man, we got short of some fights, lost some fights at the last second. Would you want to fight? And I'm like, yeah, man, but I mean, like, yeah, I'll definitely fight. This is with 18 days notice now. This is how I care about this fucking guy. All right. 18 days notice. He asked me if I wanted, and I had not been in the gym like regularly. I go a couple times a week, every week, no matter what. But I'm not in there. I can't do like 5 days a fucking week. I mean, I'm 47 years old, right? Anyway, so he's like, all right, man, so my deal was like, dude, find me a turd and, like, I'm not cutting weight. A week later, I'm fighting Wayman Carter, who is a tough ass dude, and I'm cutting 20 pounds. I don't know how he's just slick, dude. Like, I care about that guy. And anyway, it was still like, I definitely respect Wayman. And I was happy to take the fight because I knew that's what it was going to be. I wish we both were in better shape because he got it with 18 days notice too. We just kind of were doing a favor for Joe. And, he always knows that, I would say that was probably one of my least entertaining fights. I don't know if you guys have been in any other of my fights, but I usually get like just retarded stupid. And like, I either beat somebody up real quick or I get beat up. I usually don't. That's the only MMA fight in my entire career, except 2 in the amateur, that I've been out of the first round.
I thought it was a pretty good fight. So yeah, I was entertained.
Yeah, I was just like, he gassed too, but he kept popping with the jab. I rewatched it for the first time a couple days ago, and I was like, man, I'm not upset about the decision. It could have went either way for sure. Like, you could have had me win. It all come down to the third round.
It was a pretty close fight.
Yeah, it'll come down to me. It came down to the third round. Like, who won the third round? And to me, man, it was just a hard. I mean, you could argue both ways. You know what I mean? You could argue like, okay, he popped him with fucking 60 jabs. My forehead, it reminds me of that still. But also, like I got a flurry at the end of the fight, was crush him. I didn't know his jaw was broke. I broke his jaw in the first round with that right hand, and he kind of reset his jaw. And I was just like, I thought I kind of got crap from Zach for not really pushing him after I clipped him in the first round. And it was like, and he's totally right because here's where I was at in my head. I was like, okay, I've clipped him twice. I caught him with a little left right before that, and then I caught him with the right, and it put him in zombie mode. I mean, he was flash KO'd. His arms went down. I just couldn't get over there in time to kind of finish it. So I stopped pursuing. One, I didn't want to like. I was like, dude, I'm gonna keep my gas tank kind of. I'm not doing what I did in bare knuckle and just like killing myself for 2 rounds and then almost dying after the fight. The so I did, but the main thing was that I felt like I kind of was getting his timing down a little bit. I'm like, all right, first couple, I'm gonna catch him. I guess this ain't going no more. This ain't going past the first. He spent the rest of the fight fucking running and doing jabs and kicks, and like I give it to him, man, because that's what veterans do. That's what pros and fucking gangsters do. Is they change up what they're doing in the fight to accommodate what's happening in there. That's what props to Wayman. Props to Wayman. Dude smoked my leg. Like it was so my God, I wasn't it's still not right.
So I know you fought in FAC, BKFC, Bellator. Like, what has been your favorite organization to fight in?
I mean, if we're talking about
Just,
prof- like
just any
professionalism,
professional fighting organization, just overall.
Bellator was a blast. So Bellator, the first time I fought for Bellator, they put me on one of the biggest cards still to this day. And it may be the all time. It was when Bader was fighting Fedor and Bader were fighting for the heavyweight Grand Prix title in Los Angeles, and it was 2019, and they put me up against Swagger. That was his wrestling name. His name's Jake Hager. He wrestled on WWE champion, a 6'6" guy, just huge. A lot of the wrestlers were going over to MMA, so he decided to jump on it. They set me up with him because the dude was a D1 wrestler, and I have no submissions. I do now, but like I was still like I think I had 2 pro fights when I took that fight, and I was 1-1. Um, so, but the deal is like Bellator, wants you to fight. I fought a guy named Michael Edwards, and Joe Wooster, who FAC basically, but it FAC all the way, but it was called Kansas City Fight Alliance, and it was out of Independence. This is back when I got my Bellator contract. So from now to then, they have went over to Cable Dome Arena, and it's now called FAC. They've added some people to the organization. Okay, so KCFA in Independence, I went to a guy Michael Edwards, and like 3 days before the fight, Joe calls me up. I think it was a text. That doesn't matter, but he says, make sure you make weight and make sure you win this fight because Bellator wants you to fight Jack Swagger. Now, I just remember thinking, dude, that's the coolest fucking name. Who the fuck's named Jack Swagger? Like, I didn't know anything about him being a WWE or anything. I just thought, man, that's a cool fucking name. Like, it just sounds cool. Anyway, a day or two later, I realized that, this is a stage name and like this is a fucking really, really, really big fight. They're flying me to LA. They flew me and 2 of my corners to LA. We got to LA. It wasn't just so you get UFC fights, you get the UFC fights. Okay, so like UFC 331, whatever. Those fights they're big ones. They have the little sideshows that they do, like when they're coming to Kansas City here, April 26th. That's they just kind of they saturate it a little bit, but it's what did they do? It's what they do. So those are like kind of like prelims, but there's like a main event and all that stuff. And sometimes they get some good fighters on there. You know what I mean? Mostly it's just local guys trying to make a name. All right, so Bellator. So mind you that I'm on the Fedor Emelianenko versus Ryan Bader main event Grand Prix card in Los Angeles, and I am not a prelim. Like the prelims aren't even fucking televised. I was the co-main event. Obviously, it was because of Jake Hager's. He's famous. Yeah. So he, he got paid big money. They kind of like it was. I was so supposed to lose. It wasn't that I was asked to lose or anything like that, but it was like, dude, he's a D1 fucking wrestler. He's a professional athlete, man. I'm a fucking puncher that, works at the time, works for the railroad, dude. Like I fight when I get time. Um, anyway, it was still a blast, man. So they flew us out there. We spent a week there. I got to go and hang out in LA for a week, and I mean, I ran into all these fucking famous people. I got a backstage tour of CBS Studios from the producer of Entertainment Tonight, like the whole media blitz. Like, it was just like my 15 minutes of fame. It sucks that I lost. And, it was a minute and a half in. And, he fucking just, like I said, take me down, fucking put an arm triangle on me, and fight's over. But the experience was something else. It just so happens, like, I'll tell you a really cool story. And, like, I know that if any of my friends are, like, watching right now, they're going to be like, oh, my God, he's about to tell them the fucking Chris Pratt story because they've heard it 1,000 times. It's such a cool story, though. So, anyway, we're in L.A. All the prelim guys, they all fight during the day early on YouTube. So we were fighting on Paramount Network. I was a co-main event, so I was right before the Pico fight, and then, of course, the Ryan Bader fight. And then, so I am escorted in via bus. They take me to the Los Angeles Forum, which is where Muhammad Ali has fought, and just is a legendary place. It's the Madison Square Gardens of LA. So they truck us in there. We go down. They escort us to our fucking dressing rooms. I don't get to see the crowd, the arena, nothing. Yeah, I can hear them, but I had to go right to my dressing room. I go into the dressing room, and they had paired two fighters to this tiny little dressing room. So 2 fighters per dressing room, and these things were tiny. I get in there. There's not enough fucking chairs, and there's a couple of guys there with Bellator staff shirts on, and I got my headphones on. I'm getting ready to fight the biggest fight of my life. I've never fought in front of more than like 1,000 people, and like it was a sellout at the LA Forum, so I think it was like, I don't know, 38,000 or something like that. So, and like, it's not just 38,000. Like, when you fight late in the card, and this happens with local MMA too. Like, people show up throughout the night. I mean, most people are not really too interested in the prelims. They show up for the events that are, the fights that are just gonna be more popular. So I'm sure you guys know this. Like, they put the good guys at the end, or the popular guys at the end. So me getting a taste of that, the fucking arena was full, and not just a sellout and half the people have shown up for prelims, but like the main event, the stadium was full. I go in. So anyway, there wasn't enough chairs. I'm bouncing around here. There wasn't enough chairs. I'm irritated. Like, it's fight week. So I have to like walk out into the hallway and grab my corner some chairs and stuff. As I'm coming back in, the guy that I thought worked for Bellator that wouldn't get my guy's chairs was, he kind of said, "What's up?" Again, I had my headset in. I was just kind of gave him the cold shoulder. I'm sitting there 30 minutes later, and I keep looking at this dude. I'm like, man, this dude could be like Chris Pratt's twin brother. Now, I had just watched. It didn't dawn on me that I was in LA. I had just watched I don't know, one of the Avengers movie or something, like Infinity War or something. And I'm like, man, and so I text my corner, right, who's sitting right across from me. I was like, man, this dude could be Chris Pratt's twin brother. And he didn't know who Chris Pratt was. So I sent him a quick picture. As I was sending him the picture, he texts me and he said, the dude said he's an actor. And like, he looks down at his phone at the picture. He looks at me, he shakes his head, yes. So I pull my headset off and I'm like, what's up, dude? What's your name? And he said, Chris. I said, Pratt. He said, yeah. I was like, oh man, what the fuck is up, dude? I fanboyed out on him a little bit. It was pretty cool though. So we sat there for 3 hours waiting for his guy and myself to fight. So his guy was Adele Aldemimi, trains at like at one of the gyms he owns. Chris, went in there to I guess just hang with him. He did the walkout with him and everything. So then it's my turn to fight. I fight after his guy. His guy wins. They come back. I mean, this dude's high-fiving me, and he's like, let's go, J-Dub. This dude's rooting for me, right? So, which was super cool. So we walk out there, and yeah, it's just everything that I've been saying. Like, all of a sudden, I'm in an arena, and it is full, and like, everybody was rooting for me because like Swagger was the bad guy. So as I get in there, right, my coach is telling me, my little pre-fight speech or whatever. You know, I look over his shoulder, and who do I see in the front row? Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz sitting right next to each other, and I'm like, this is what I was like, wow. So I paid 80, $90 to watch these guys fight throughout the early 2000s, man. And now they're in the front row watching me fight. So that was the most coolest experience, and the professionalism from Bellator. They ran a squeaky clean organization.
Yeah, yeah. I think Bellator is gone now, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's discontinued.
Yep, they were always kind of on the ropes a little bit. I don't know, it's tough. I promote also, so like, man, it's just the MMA scene is not what it used to be. It's just so the difference is like it's more of a professional sport. Even the amateurs, like, man, you gotta be pretty good to even, jump in there as an amateur, or like most of the gyms won't even let you sign up. Yeah, if you get in touch with a promoter or something, they'll put you in there to get socked up by one of the well-trained guys that sells tickets.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it's just so when I say the landscape has changed, so when like some of the smaller promotions, local promotions, like the one that I ran for years, it's a little bit, it's harder to get sponsors. It's also it's harder to sell tickets because back in the early 2000s, like it didn't even you didn't like I didn't even need to know anybody fighting. If I heard there was a fight in town, I'm hitting it. Now there's still people like that, but it's more of like um in my opinion, it's more of like I would say like a cult following. You know what I mean? Like the culture is, it's MMA culture, and that's the people that come all the time. Like, I'm always down to go watch an MMA fight. If I hear about one, I'm considering. I'm looking at the fight card. Hey, do I know these guys? You know what I mean? So, but not everybody's like that anymore. It literally, when in like 2008. All you had to do was say there was a fight in town. Like, what? What kind of fight? Yeah, no, they got a cage like you see on TV. Oh my God, let's go. You know. So it's changed a little bit. It's a little more tricky, and they've weeded out because a lot of things. Like I tell you, I did the tag team MMA fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, that's like so dangerous. Like I broke my thumb in that fight. Actually, had to get surgery. It was so the promoters back then, because there was no regulation, there was no rules. Basically, the promoter would arrive, he'd have the cage, in a town, and he'd go and rent a venue, and like 2 weeks later, he would show up and like sign up to fight. You'd sign up that day, or they usually go to the local gyms and have a little sheet you can sign up, right at the desk, and it's like, oh, when's the date, so you could get a little bit of notice, but 2 or 3 weeks at the most. And and like everybody's in there just straight up like, and there was no, anybody, the wrestlers always have done well, even after, the newness wore off and people started trying to learn how to train, the wrestlers always do well. Those were the ones that usually dominated. I was, again, like fast knockouts.
Mm-hmm.
Fast knockouts. I got a 6-second knockout.
Really?
Yeah. Poor guy.
When was that?
That's like 2010, 2009. So the guy was in Casper, Wyoming. I can't remember the dude's name, but shit, it's on my highlight video. So he the dude says fight, and like I threw up my hands, and he like came in and went to do this like leg kick, and he drops it. As he's dropping his hands, I just timed this quick like step in jab perfectly right down the pipe as he was kind of trying to, like, we were both coming at each other, and I just like the little soft jab, and this dude, the first thing that hit was the back of his head on the canvas, and like his feet were there, they stopped the fight. I was like, damn, yes,
that's quick.
Yeah,
you don't see that very often.
No, I one hitter quitter. Like, yeah, his face had a seizure, man. Like, yeah, that's what my son said. My teenage son at the time. He's like, Dad, look at that guy's face. We kept watching it over and over again. His face is having a seizure. Anyway.
All right, I've got one more question for you before we go. How did you get the nickname Mad Cannons?
Man, it's not even so I used to be called Kamikaze Kiser, right? JW Kamikaze Kiser, right? Um, and my cousin is at the time was a 7-0 was a 7-0 amateur MMA fighter. He was knocking. He never went out at more than 20 seconds. Like he just was like me. This fucking we got the genes, bro. Like it's a big wide shoulders, just bank. Anyway, he is like just a madman. Like and I just like so I gave him that name. So I said, I said okay, so I didn't say like announce it to him or anything like that. I never even told him that I had, kind of like adopted that name. But I realized that you can't make your own name, right? So I had kind of given myself that name. So I was like, you can't do that. So I gave it to my cousin. And then I knocked the guy out in the 6-second knockout like a week later. And he came to the fight, and he was like, bro, you've got some mad cannons. And it just stuck.
Mad Cannon. I think it's a cool nickname. Yeah. I couldn't really think of a name like that anywhere else.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it was he just like he didn't even really like he wasn't like he didn't give me the name or anything. He's like, dude, those are some mad cannons. Like because I mean we sparred together too. Like he just always hit hard. Yeah, that was how I got it. It was and like it still didn't stick right away. It kind of got around like the community, the MMA community, where they were just like it was a joke. And it was kind of it was trendy back to he got mad squabbles, bro. Back then, you know what I mean? It was kind of trendy the way the slang vibe, and it just like he's got mad cannons, bro. That's kind of how he said it to me, and it was like I don't know. I was like, man, cannons, guys, that kind of sounds cool. And yeah, we started. Yeah, I started calling myself that. I guess I didn't call myself that. I was given the nickname, but yeah, I've marketed it.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I got a tattoo of it.
Really?
Yeah, right there. That's my fighter logo. I don't know if y'all can see that. Stick my titty up
Can
there.
you see it?
Yeah,
All right.
and I got the big star and bag, and then I got the cannons with the fighter gloves.
Oh yeah, that's sweet.
Yeah, it hurt like a bitch. Man, hey, titty.
That's all we got for you today.
All right, fellas. All
Thanks
right,
for
man.
coming
Well, I
on.
appreciate you having me on, man.
See you.
All right, we'll see you at the next
Yep.
one.